I started working on my first game on November 11th, 2018. I had just followed a few tutorials to learn my engine, but I already knew how to code from being a web developer for about 2 years before that. During the first 3 months or so, I was just basically working by myself. I would just wake up in the morning, work on my game, and then watch a few conferences or videos, or read articles about game dev and how to improve or how to make it as an indie game developer, and then I would go to sleep. On April 23rd of 2019, after 163 days of work, I published a demo on itch.io. It was basically a vertical slice, which means a small part of the whole game that's supposed to be polished at the same level as the finished product. My game, which is called Space Gladiators, is a rogue-lite, which means every time you die you restart from the beginning. My plan was to have 3 zones in the full game, which could be completed in about 45 minutes. So I put 1 zone in the demo, which means in theory about 15 minutes of gameplay, although in practicality people often die, so it took them about an hour or 2 hours to complete the demo. At this point, I started treating it a little bit like an early access game. I would publish an update every few weeks and then use the players' feedback to make the next update. The game got picked up by a few early YouTubers who made a few videos about the game, which was pretty good for my motivation, and some of them have followed the progress of the game to this day. For the next 37 days I kept updating and fixing the demo. Doing that showed me the importance of getting feedback from an external perspective, because after a while, when you've been working on your game for so long, there are a lot of things you can't see anymore, especially the difficulty of the game. It was way off when I first published the demo, because I was so used to playing the game myself.
Oh fuck. Oh, okay, never mind. That's fucked up. That is fucked up.
It also showed me that a few systems I had implemented were too complex and did not really work as I wanted them to, so I just removed them. In those 37 days, the game had gotten a lot better than it would have if I had just worked by myself during all this time. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do an early access for my game. After that, I started working on the content for my full game, which took me the whole summer of 2019, and I set up the Steam page on August 16th, 2019, and then on October 21st, 2019, after 344 days of work, I launched the game into early access. I had no idea what I was doing, and I wasn't very confident in my game, so I sold an incredible 12 copies on the first day, and 20 copies in the whole month of October. I hadn't done a lot of advertising or marketing because I was afraid my game would crash, or that it wouldn't work correctly, or that people would not like it. So I actually wanted as little people as possible to see it, so I could have the time to fix it without making a fool out of myself. After I launched the game into early access, I went back to the cycle of publishing updates and then getting feedback from content creators and the few players I had at this point. During the first 6 months of early access, I would just work as hard as I could on the game, then send a few keys to some small content creators to get more feedback and see what they liked and what they didn't like. I would do that every 1 or 2 months. Every time I added a big feature and I wanted to see how people would react, I would send new keys. At some point I noticed that what was likely keeping the game back was the lack of diversity in the runs, meaning there wasn't enough rooms or items or enemies. So I worked on a huge update that took me 2 months that would add 371 new rooms and 21 new enemies. I was also more confident that the game was in a good state and that I could start sharing it with more people. So I thought I would use this update as a sort of second launch. I timed it with the first ever discount of the game, which was a small discount of 10%, because I thought I would send an email to all the people that had wishlisted the game, but I did not know that you have to at least do a discount of 20% for that to happen. And I contacted a lot more content creators that had bigger audiences. I published the update on April 21st of 2020. Before that, I had sold less than 100 copies in total in 183 days of early access. And 6 days later, on April 27th, Northern Lion, which is a big YouTuber with more than 800 subscribers, made a video about the game, which has gotten 74,000 views and which resulted in the highest spike of sales for the game with 173 copies sold in 1 day. I basically treated that as the real launch of the game. Before that I was only focused on improving the game as much as I could, and I spent no time on marketing at all. After that point I started taking it a little bit more seriously, and you can see on the graph the difference it made. Since then, I've sold about 1200 copies, and I'm still regularly updating the game. It's been around 670 days since I started working on the game, and 320 days since the early access launch. And I think we have a few more months to go before the actual 1.0 release. If you want to check out the game, it's called Space Gladiators Escaping Tartarus, and it's on Steam, so if you could add it to your wishlist, that'd be really helpful. And I'll post more videos about it in the coming days and weeks on this channel, so feel free to subscribe if you're interested in that.